nice little upper decky.
You gotta get the drugs on the podcast.
Oh yeah. Zin. No, I was gonna ask if you saw that it was like a story about these drones that were over New Jersey, I think it was. Like the other night,
yeah.
they were like car-sized drones, and nobody knows where they came from.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot recently.
Yeah.
UK too recently as well, which, yeah, I mean, I've been into like the UAP UFO topic for so long. It's just like, I don't know. There you see all these articles with like drones, and it's just like, okay, how many unknown drones are there out there? Like, let's be honest. Like we know what these are. Like there's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of military people describing them as completely out of this world, like technologically, just maneuverability, all this stuff. And it's just like, people just keep writing article. Oh, unknown drones around military base tonight. Oh, unknown drones around this. It's just funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's one of those things where like you don't really, I don't know, there's like two polarized sides with alien stuff, but I've just like, it makes a lot of sense to me whenever I hear people talk, and I'm like, that guy seems like he's like, why would he lie about that? You know what I mean? Like there's so many people. I've just never had anything that I've seen personally. I know people who say they have, but I don't know.
Right.
Crazy.
I haven't seen anything myself, but yeah, it's just like, I think it was like around 2017, there was a New York Times article that came out, talked about this program in the Pentagon called ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And that kind of propelled, I guess, like the modern day interest, like back into the UFO stuff. So that's where I started getting like obsessed with all this stuff again. And I've just gone down rabbit hole after rabbit hole for years on it. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I would love to see something like, yeah, there's just so many people out there that have reported basically like the same type of thing. And it's like, why would you want to say, oh, I saw a UFO? Like everyone's going to think you're crazy. So like, there's no point to make it up. Like, sure, you could see a light in the sky and maybe it like was a little weird and you didn't know what it is. That's one thing. But when someone's like, I literally saw like a UFO, like a flying saucer with lights all the way around the edges and it like maneuvered in impossible ways, like, why would you make that up? Like, I don't know. I mean, some people probably do, but there's just too many. There's millions.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
It's weird because it's like that with other stuff. Obviously, like religion, God, like, I don't know. There's just so many people that have like similar stories throughout humanity with certain things. Just weird, man. But maybe we'll never know about any of it. I don't know.
It's one of those things. It's like, you can't believe it until you see something yourself. But it's like a weird thing. It can become religious though, where it's like you have total, like I have probably like 99.9% certainty, not certainty because that'd be 100, but I'm about 99.9% that it's like legit. Like we actually have these UFO craft in our possession in some capacity, probably spread throughout private aerospace and in little factions of the government. It's not like when people say, oh, the government has like a flying saucer, it doesn't mean that everyone in the government just knows about it and it's just this mass conspiracy. It's like, no, it's like there's small factions within intelligence agencies and like everything is, sectioned off. Like it's just a bunch of people and you can easily hide something in like an unacknowledged special access program from the entire world. And maybe only a few thousand people will ever know about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just fascinating stuff, dude. I get super into it, but
no, it's cool, man. I mean, I'm definitely into it. I think it's weird because it's like even if you see something insane, it's almost like you just kind of forget about it. Like I feel like our brains are programmed to just be like, nope, nothing outside of like my little box exists. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird, man. But to me, it makes a lot of sense. It's like we have no idea. It's like when you think about it, we could just be the equivalent of ants or whatever in the big picture. It's like trying to solve it from within it. But I don't know, man. It's really bizarre. Universe is very strange, but
it's kind of interesting. Like when I was little, I always was like, I thought of the universe and the world as just like this mystical, magical thing. Like I think a lot of people as kids think that, But then like as you grow older, you sort of get this like institutionalized academic reductionist viewpoint kind of like pushed on you a little bit more, where it's like, oh, it's all about the facts, you know, mysticism and all these things. That's totally like pseudoscience. All these ancient religions, spiritual cultures, like that's all superstition. You know, there's no basis in reality. It's just they were, you know, people were dumb back in the day, and like now society is more mature, so we know best. Even though every single scientific like throughout all of time, like every scientific understanding of the world has been like just broken down and like revitalized. Like we've discovered new things and realized we were wrong all the way down the timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just kind of funny to like have that, you know, hubris sometimes.
It's kind of like a societal direction too. Like I always kind of find it fascinating that like our civilization went in the direction of like all that stuff makes no sense. Science, technology. Right. It's like, what's to say other civilizations weren't, you know, going the other way as far as like spirituality or more like mysticism, and that there's not just as much truth to that stuff. So I think, I don't know, when you look at the world in the way of like, I could be totally wrong about all this. I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool. So
yeah, it's good to be, you know, it's good to be humble. And I feel like at least people that I've met, the people that are the smartest, most intelligent, creative, ambitious, coolest people I know are like also some of the most humble. And like, so the people, it seems like the people who know the most are willing to admit that they like don't know anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But the people who think they know everything and they're always trying to one up you, they're always trying to like fact check you or do this or do that, or like they're like very bogged down in like institutions, academia. They're the ones who like ironically, you know, tend to know less, you know, than some of the people that are like the super geniuses who are generally more humble. But I don't know, I just find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's also,
I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
Oh yeah, dude. I think it kind of ties into when people would say like you shouldn't be pursuing music or, you know, creative stuff. You're listening to that from someone who works, you know, like a teacher or something. It's like, well, why? Like, who are you to say that? Like, how can you, like, logically, why would you think, you know, trust someone's opinion who actually hasn't like done the thing? But yeah, dude, I think it's kind of true. It's like silent, you know, the people who are really just intelligent, smart, generally just are quieter, you know. It's not always the case,
They're
but
better listeners.
Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting how I used to think the world was like this magical creative place, and then you kind of get that worldview pushed on you where things are just, it's just down to the facts. We know everything, like whatever, right? And now that I'm in my, you know, later 20s, now hitting 30 recently, it's just like I'm actually discovering reality to be more mystical, back to what I thought it was as a kid before everyone told me that, oh no, like you're wrong about all that stuff. Like you can't do like, there's no such thing as like psi abilities. There's no such thing as UFOs, like whatever, all these little things. And then it seems like over time, I've just like, especially diving into the UFO topic, you discover like all these insane things. Like, for example, the CIA ran a program called Project Stargate. I believe it was in the 70s. I'm not 100% sure, but essentially people at Stanford Research Institute, you know, headed this program. I think Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff were the people who headed it, but they studied something called remote viewing, which is essentially, and I don't know everything about it, but it's essentially you're able to determine something non-locally just through your mind, essentially, which sounds, you know, any staunch like materialist reductionist person would be like, it's nonsense. There's no evidence for it whatsoever, blah, blah, blah. But then you like look into the Project Stargate, like actual studies that they did. And there's actually like a pretty decent sense of rigor behind like how they conducted it. And then I think there was this statistician named Jessica Utz. I could be getting her first name wrong, but I think something Utz, who looked over the statistical like significance of all this like remote viewing stuff to see if there was any weight to it. And basically came to the conclusion like it was way beyond chance, like some of these things that people were doing. Like some guy was able to basically like draw out like the location of a Russian submarine, which like was completely unknown and then later revealed to be true, like where it was. I think I'm getting that right. But there was just like tons of stuff with that. And then I don't know, it's just like like something like that where you're like, oh, wait a second, like there might actually be something to this. And you're like, oh, like you kind of just like go back to as a childhood, you kind of always thought like, oh yeah, maybe I could do some crazy stuff with my mind, or
for sure.
I don't know, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
And I don't know, I've always kind of thought this way. Like until you can be completely proven wrong about something, which I think a lot of things you can't be, because like so much of that stuff depends on, okay, what's your definition of consciousness? What's your definition of reality? Like all those things. And you're trying to figure that out from within reality and consciousness. And I know me and you, like a long time ago, connected over actualize.org. This guy named Leo Gura, who just talks about a lot of that stuff, just in-depth podcasts. And, I think that as much as I'm not actively into that stuff as much anymore, like it totally changed my perspective on everything, like to this day, like I think it just made me more open to like, I don't really know anything. And all I know is what I perceive. There's nothing outside of that.
Right.
And I believe that, it's hard. I went through a point where I was like, this is very depressing. Feeling like you're the only thing that exists in a way. And it's kind of hard for people to maybe wrap their heads around, but I don't know, man. It's like, when you really think about it, it's like all you know is what you've experienced and perceived, all the people in your life, everything, science, reality, everything. It's weird, man, because you can't disprove it. So I don't know what you think about all that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like your entire reality runs through your subjective experience. So when people talk about like objectivity and, these things, it's like, okay, well, there's the subjective experience, which is what you experience, but then objectivity is what everyone else out there experiences and how it couples with you as well. But the funny thing about that is that all is encompassed within one gigantic subjective bubble, which is you perceiving someone saying that, you seeing someone talking about it. Like you cannot escape like that loop of, your own perception.
I know.
So that's just like a trippy.
And you can't question your way out of it because the questions are coming from within it too. I've tried to draw it a few times, like a circle, and like I just can't even wrap my head around it. But it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people, it's hard to find people that are even want to talk about that kind of stuff, because I think a lot of times you don't want to question. Like there's a certain point you'll start to question stuff, but then you're like, this is too much. I'm comfortable here. And honestly, like I think it's fine to not think about that, because it can complicate life a little bit. Like I went through some serious depression, and it kind of sounds ridiculous, but I don't think about it as much anymore, because I'm like, well, what does it really matter? It feels like I'm here. It feels like it's all real. Just enjoy it, make movies, make music, whatever, have fun. So,
yeah, it's fun to dive into though.
It's like,
I remember I just used to like fall asleep to like philosophy podcasts every night for years. But it's like, it's one of those things where once you kind of unlock that thing in your mind, I guess some people call it like awakening, but that's a cheesy way of putting it, when it's like, obviously it's not like you're actually awakening. You're not like reaching Kundalini, consciousness, like whatever. It's just like you kind of start to realize like, oh, like maybe everything I was told, maybe there's some truth to it, but I should also like look within, and kind of see what rings true to me.
Exactly.
So I guess that's like the best thing I've learned from all of it. I mean, there's so many rabbit holes to go down with all those, like the philosophy of mind and all that, and epistemology. It's like probably my favorite thing to obsess over, besides like, recently UFO stuff, and besides music and film and all that. But I don't know. It's just good to go down that path at some point in your life, I feel like. And then, learn that, study philosophy, read self-development books, like start to just like unlock the pieces of your mind that you probably haven't if you just gone through a standard school system and think that's what reality is like what other people tell you it is. And like you could say that same for philosophy, but the thing with philosophy is you're actually self-reflecting how you feel inside and how you relate to the world. And I think anything that is a self-reflecting teaching or something that promotes like you need to figure this out for yourself. I think that's like the best thing.
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's good for everyone to go through a phase like that in their life, though.
Yeah. I think just even when you say that, it's like the fact you can self-reflect. Like if you really think about what that is, that you can be aware of yourself. It's like most people probably never even thought about that. It's like you have an awareness of you being you. So I don't know. I do think a lot of it though, it I don't know. To me, it always comes back to a higher power, like whatever you want to call that, God, universe, whatever. I think
100%.
like that there's a part of something I don't know and I'm not aware of, but I have definitely felt its presence in my life and through my life. And when I spend time like trying to connect with it, which I think you can do in different ways, like meditation, prayer, I notice a big difference, people call it like intuition or whatever. I don't know what it is. I just think it's there. So yeah, comforting in a way. Cause I think, as depressing as it can feel to be like, well, I might be the only thing that exists. It's also like, well, what does that mean about death? What does that mean about, the on and off? Like, does that really exist or not? Like, I remember used to listen to a lot of Alan Watts. I know you've listened to him too.
Same. Yeah.
And just when he talks about life and death, where it's like, well, you don't remember before you were born. Like, what was that? Was that death? Was that the off, But at the same time, the on can't exist without the off and vice versa. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's trippy. It's really, you can't really understand it. But when you're open to the idea that maybe there's not really traditional physical death, like fully of your being or consciousness, it's like hopeful. I guess that's what people like to think anyway. So yeah.
I think it's one of the coolest quotes I ever heard was, why are you so afraid of death? You're just going to the same place you were before you were born. And it's like, oh shit, like I was already there. Yeah. Why do I care? Like, it's not like we think like or at least in like Western civilization, if you take like a super, more of like secular or atheistic look on reality, it's kind of like, well, I didn't exist until I was born. Then I existed. And then when I die, I don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like,
that could be true. I mean, there could be like, okay, there's only this and that's it. That's a possibility too. But
it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the same. But that quote is saying you're just going back to the same place. So it's like, okay, so you didn't exist before you were born. Then you exist when you're born, and then you go back to not existing. So what are you afraid of? You've already been there. So you've already not existed in that theory. Okay. So then you're gonna pop into existence, and then you go back to where you've been. So like, why would you be afraid to like go back to the place you were already? So it's like, it's kind of like a, it's, I guess, like a strange loop thing too, where it's like, you could just pop right back. It's like people talk about reincarnation. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, who's to say like that makes perfect sense in some sense, because it's like, okay, you're going to this place that you already were. And then what's to say you're not going to come back in some other way? And that's just like taking a total like reductionist materialist perspective almost. With reincarnation, obviously some of that's more Eastern. But to me, I think I tend to believe, and it is a belief, it's not like a fact, obviously, that it's just like, no matter, you can't not exist in a way, or your consciousness, something about you will always persist and exist in the universe. And maybe that just means that because we're all the same consciousness, and like you were saying, only one in the universe, it's like, well, maybe that's just because, we're all the exact same consciousness, just running through a certain biological filter that just happens to be how you relate, how you look at yourself in the mirror. Like, sure, that's not going to last forever, but it doesn't mean you're not going to last forever. Just because your body and your face and like, how you relate to people in your life, like that will change, obviously. But I don't know. At least I feel like the essence of being doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just how I personally feel. And a lot of people have those revelations, like, especially through like psychedelic experiences, near death experiences. So there's got to be something to it. I mean, I don't know for sure, but
something that makes a lot of sense to me is that, I also think too, what kind of disappoints me sometimes is people, I think religions a lot of times tie into the same ideas, but it's a lot of time like shut down because it's not within these certain, the certain lens or boundaries. So it's hard to,
Right.
kind of talk about this kind of stuff. But when I think, people talk about God and the universe as being like this infinite being, if you were this all intelligent, infinite being, I'm trying to think how to word this, but you would have like at least our level of intelligence, right? Like us as humans. So it's like if I was an infinite being and I could do anything, I'm sure at some point, yeah, I mean, you would get bored of just being that, and you'd want to create something for yourself. Just like what life is, it's almost like this game where the stakes are so high because you're gonna die, but you have no clue how you got there or whatever. So it's like the ultimate game. And to me, it's like that honestly makes sense. It's like, what are we always trying to do as humans? We're making these video games, trying to put ourselves in these situations and experience these other things that we, normally wouldn't. So that's kind of an interesting theory too, is like just this one being that's, puts itself to sleep for however many years to be a human and experiences itself in all these ways. Like that would be the ultimate thing, to like you die and you wake up and you're like, oh, okay, it was just a game. Like we're good. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just like God is bored with itself.
That'd be a
So
good
it's like, well, I'm just
documentary.
gonna-
God is bored.
Right. God is bored with itself. So it infinitely scatters itself out into, all of these like conscious beings that forget or don't realize like they're a part of the greater puzzle. And that's why like, a lot of Eastern philosophy say like everything is connected. Where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, and that would make a lot of sense. Like, God's like, kind of bored just being like the infinite intelligence creator of, or, infinite intelligence, one being of all. Like, why don't I just scatter myself into like infinite pieces and then kind of build the puzzle back up again? Because it's like, what else is there to do if you're the only
Yeah.
being in the universe, or you are the universe? I don't know. It's interesting. It's a cool way to think about it.
It is. It's like you can do whatever you want, be whoever you want.
And that ties in with religion too, where it's like that would completely support pretty much every major religion too. I mean, and I'm 100% all for people who are like very religious and stick to some sense of spirituality.
I agree. And sometimes I think it's just easier to understand certain things, with certain ideas. I've been reading the Neville Goddard collection. I think I told you about, but I think it's like 8 books or something, but it's a lot of it is like studying the Bible and verses and what they mean, in a more of a metaphorical sense. And I think even if you don't believe that, I think it's kind of good to like look at things from different perspectives, and you kind of see like this could be pointing toward the same ideas as everything else, So, and I think too, there's something too, like, back then, whenever that is, Bible times, people say it's like people wouldn't be able to understand certain things without, them being written in a certain way,
Right.
And I think that's interesting too. And I think more people should be open to like at least talking about like, what could this actually mean? Maybe it's not literal, because there's so much in there that's really just like, this is how you live your life in the best way possible for your experience here. This is how you achieve the things you want to achieve. And, I just think it's interesting. So,
yeah, some of the Old Testament, it definitely seems to be more metaphorical, but I mean, whether you look at it literally or metaphorical, I think it does lead to the same result, or like at least in your life studying it and living through certain principles. Obviously, there's things in the Old Testament that I think most modern society would be like, what? Like stone people, like there's some crazy stuff in there, but I mean, a lot of it, it's just humans interpreting, because a lot of some of the Old Testament is like these downloads from God, and it's like, other people are writing about that too. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not opposed to looking at it either way. I just think as long as you're like treating everyone, equally and with respect and love, it's like to each their own. And yeah, and I mean, I'm totally open to like all religious ideas too. Like I was born, into the Catholic Church, whatever that means. I mean, my family was Catholic, and it's like, yeah, I'm cool with that. But if someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm Buddhist," I'm like, "That's awesome! Like, amazing! I love it! Like, let me go to meditation with you." And then if someone's Hindu, I'm like, "All right, that's amazing." And if someone's atheist, I'm like, "Cool, I'm all for it. Whatever you want, like whatever you want to believe, Because I think it is so. It's like a personal truth. A lot of those like religious stuff. It's like, um. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's all beneficial for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think too, it's like prayer, what that usually means, to most like Christians. I don't know, certain religions have different things, but it's like you're silently just talking to God, praying for certain things or certain results in your life. And sometimes you do that with a group of people and put this big intention there. It's like, that's not any different than like meditating on, your goals or visualizing or what you want to happen. I think it's like the same thing. It's just like you're connecting with a higher power. But I do, I think too, it's like if you fully believe something like to your core, then you should be willing to talk through every potential option or like back it up. And, not that you have to do that, but you know what I mean? I think it's because we believe a lot of stuff and we don't question a lot of it. But I think you have to sometimes do that. It's like, can I really just follow this through? And am I open to doing that too? So,
yeah, I think it's always good to like question your beliefs and like, where do they come, where do they stem from? How much is like self-deception playing in, and just like deconstruct your mind and deconstruct your, I don't know. Yeah. Like, especially things that are kind of deep into your subconscious. I mean, that's what trauma is like buried subconscious stuff, whether it's like something you were taught or whether it was a traumatic experience. I think it is good to like unpack the subconscious mind. And yeah, I've been reading, God, is it Joseph Murphy? Power of the Subconscious Mind. I've been rereading that one. I do want to check out that Neville Goddard series because I've read some of his stuff, but yeah, the power of the subconscious mind is like, I don't know, it's just so fascinating because it's kind of like you think of like therapy and a lot of that is just like really unpacking stuff. Because you can look at the brain in like a modern psychology way where it's like there's all these areas of the brain and it's all like this complicated, like this electrical signal sends this part to this muscle or this is where memory is stored and this, all that stuff. But then like you could look at the brain more simply, not being a psychiatrist or psychologist. And it's just like you have the conscious mind and then you have the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind is like just your petty thoughts, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, or oh, I'm hungry, or we're talking with our conscious minds. But then there's the subconscious mind, which is like when you're dreaming, like that's what's generating the dreams. That's where your trauma is hidden. That's where your habits are hidden, where you don't even think about something. And I feel like if you can learn what's in your subconscious or learn how to brainwash your subconscious in a positive way, like your life can just transform to a ridiculous degree. And it's not the easiest thing. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's just so easy to unpack everything and like work through trauma. It's incredibly difficult, but it's worth doing. And I think it's like a cool way to look at the mind as someone who's not, doing brain surgery or whatever. It's a more simple way to think about things. And for me, it seems like it's worked well, when I've tried to apply just that two brain method in my own life.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, it's something I think I'm like trying to revisit and like re-understand. Like, okay, and I think the Neville Goddard books have just explained it a lot better, like in a more simple way. But I think kind of too, it's like what happens, it's like when you want to better your life, you want to achieve certain things. If you just start thinking from the end, like from the end result, then you kind of have this roadmap and you just like eventually start wanting to do things that lead you there. It's like you're more aware of like, hey, does this decision lead me there or further away? And I think part of it is you just start to become just a bit better version of yourself.
Yeah, where it's kind of, you don't realize. Yeah, it's the same thing with the law of attraction, which we always talk about. But yeah, the subconscious, it's like if you're planting a certain idea in your subconscious, it's like, okay, it doesn't know the difference between like when you visualize something and when you live out that reality. Like if you play the piano, you can practice piano in your subconscious. They've done studies even with weightlifting, which is hilarious, just like finger lifting though in this case, where like they had people physically like lift weights with their finger and tested finger strength. And then they had people just visualize that they were lifting weights with their finger. I believe this is correct. And then they had another group that was not doing anything, wasn't thinking about it, wasn't doing it. And the group that was visualizing lifting a weight with their finger and the group that was literally doing it saw like the same strength results, which is absolutely insane because it just kind of proves that. I mean, that's one example of like a plethora of studies that have been done on visualization and these types of things. And there's a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics. I think it's from the 60s. Amazing book on just like subconscious mind, how, when you visualize, your brain doesn't really know the difference. The conscious mind doesn't know the difference, right? The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. You use your conscious mind to visualize, do those things. So it's like what you were talking about, where it's like you're starting to brainwash. I just like to say brainwash because it's the easiest way to think about it. But you start to visualize something and you have this end result in your head and you're starting to put that into your subconscious and it doesn't know the difference. So it thinks that that's my reality. So throughout the day, when you're saying, well, I think I'll do this versus this, a lot of times it's like your subconscious is like, well, you are this person, this successful person who has this goal. So that's what you would do. You would do this action. And those actions tend to be the thing that actually lead to in your real life getting to those things.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a fascinating.
I do also think like for 1000% certainty, things happen. Like things will just happen in your life to align with that stuff. Like when you're really tapped in, I've had it happen so many times in my life to where my mind is always like, no, it's probably just coincidence, but I don't think so. And you can't control it really. Like you never know. But I think there's something to that, and I think you got to experience it. But same for the other like negative side too. I think that's the easier place to get in and stay in for sure. It's harder. But yeah, man, it's very interesting. So
yeah, it is sad with the negative thing because you see people in your life too, where that like it's always easy to look at something from an outside perspective and be like, oh, they should do that. That person should do this or do that. And maybe things would be different, but it's like, when you're in those negative places, it's the same exact thing what we were talking about, where it's like you have these negative thoughts and you start to kind of program yourself about like, oh, that's who I am. That's my identity, is like feeling bad, which, we're both emo music artists. So we clearly have both been there. And still, this day, like I definitely have my moments, and music is a great therapy to like get over those things and kind of flesh them out. But yeah, it's to my point, it was just like, yeah, it's like you get in those other cycles where you start to brainwash yourself, thinking that you're a loser, you're never going to do anything with your life, or you should quit, or, and when you're feeling depressed or anxious, you start to like identify with that. And yeah, it's the same thing. You can start to go down a different direction. And that's why it's hard to pull yourself out of it, because it's, you're really embodying it. And the more that you're brainwashing yourself with those ideas, even though they're not true, they're just thoughts. They're not who you actually are. It's just like surface level. But over time, those surface level things build up. And so it's tricky. It's tricky to get out of that.
Yeah, 100% it is. But I think you just need a little momentum, and then, but totally. It's like it can so quickly turn around too, because it's just so much easier to do what's comfortable or easy all the time, But yeah, that is an interesting thing. I've thought about with like music. Like I've written so much, like, I guess, I don't know, sad music or heavy music over the years. I'm like, has that impacted me? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like in that way.
Yeah.
And same with like movies and stuff. I don't find it with movies. Like I know Baz was talking about like your mind doesn't know that you're acting, so you got to be careful. I guess maybe when we did Old Dog, I was kind of feeling a bit weird, but yeah, that's interesting too. Like wondering like, okay, do movies and things like really affect your emotional state, which I think they probably do. But I also wonder if like, because when I watch like a horror movie or something now, like I'm so aware of how it was made to where like it doesn't feel real. So does that mitigate it? I don't know. I don't maybe never know, but it's interesting to think about.
I think it's different for other people, because I know the people that I know that are like obsessed with horror movies and watch them all the time, they're like awesome, fun people who like definitely doesn't negatively affect them. At least it seems like. And I found it the same for myself where there's certain movies that I just like I love the aesthetic. And I think that's the same with music where it's like, it is you have to be careful with like making music that is it's like, you're talking about your feelings, but you could be reinforcing those at the same time. I do find though that with music, I think sometimes, and a lot of people talk about this, it's like almost a therapy to listen to sad music. And instead of it actually making you sad, it meets you where you're at, which I think is important. You're trying to get out of a hole or whatever. If you're really angry and you listen to like a really angry song, sometimes it's like, like okay.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
other people are angry too. So now I can kind of go like take a step up and like maybe feel a little bit better. And I think with the sadness, same thing. You go through a hard breakup. I mean, we both know better than anybody. I mean, that's what drives a lot of music is like heartache and these just overwhelming feelings of like loss, of being with someone and losing that. And yeah, when you hear somebody else is in that same place, especially through listening to a song, you're like, wow, like it's not just me.
I think that's
And I
it.
do
Yeah.
think, yeah, and I do think that. So from that perspective, I would say like it can be a healing thing and actually put you in the right spot. And I mean, I love to listen to sad music even when I'm feeling good, just because it's more of the aesthetic. It's more of like, I like dark gothic. Yeah, I just like that the whole emo vibe, dark academia, skulls, magic, occult, all these like weird, mystical, dark things. Like to me, that's cool, and I think that's like why you like horror movies too. Probably it's more of the vibe. It's not
Yeah.
like you like experiencing
I think
like
yeah,
fear necessarily.
part of it too is like when you watch a horror movie, it's like, I'm not in that situation. That's so nice. I'm just in my
Right.
bed. But
Real life is like
yeah.
less scary.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm kind of also like, I like that adrenaline rush of like the scares. I love it. Like I don't know why, but I've
Mhm.
always kind of liked that. But yeah, dude, it's interesting like with music and stuff, because I think if people don't know you, they like see your videos or music and they just are automatically assume you're this way. You're like sad or dark or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's just weird because, yeah, I know we both like that imagery. I don't know why I've always liked it so much. I think it's just the contrast of like dark and light, death and life.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, just kind of a vibe. But yeah, definitely like not like
Embrace,
that in
yeah.
real life. I just, yeah, pretty chill, like normal person. So,
What I think it's what we were talking about, like embracing death is like a positive thing. And death and emo music and horror movies and all these aesthetics, these are basically embracing the negative, quote unquote, negative side of reality. When it's not, it doesn't have to be negative though. It's just a part of things. Like, if you work a regular job and your life is pretty casual, laid back, pretty positive, and then like you're in a certain spectrum range, but then you watch a horror movie and you're like, wow, reality can get crazy, like way different than what I'm experiencing. So you're kind of like experiencing like these pendulum swings of like what reality can be. And I feel like when you embrace the darker side of things, it actually can like make you a happier person in some weird way too, because you don't have this fear of like all these things in the background. I don't know. Some of the coolest people I've met are like, into that, just like gothic, dark vibe. And yeah, we're both into it. And I don't know what it is either, but I do think I've at least been okay with maybe that's not my personality. Like when somebody meets me or talks to me, like they're like, oh, you're not, always down or sad or whatever, like your music is. But it's like, well, the music is so I can get out of that. Like you're hearing, like I'm shedding a skin. So it's like it's harder to write music when I'm feeling like super good because it's like what's the point? It's like music is like I'm like shedding that emotion kind of. So it's interesting. I feel like I don't know. That's how I think about it, and I feel like you pretty much feel that way too in a way.
Yeah, dude.
for the most part, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think like most of my songs, I've written. I mean, just kind of for myself to get, I don't know, just helped for some reason. I don't know why. I just did. It was like this satisfying feeling to get this thing like out and in this capsule, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I also like looking back on a lot of my music, there was always an element of like hope in my songs, and I think I just always felt that. I was like, well,
100%.
things feel like dark or depressing, but it's like there's something that keeps me going, and this like weird longing feeling that comes with heartbreak or like hard stuff in life or loneliness. It's weirdly comforting. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know, just hope or something. But yeah, I don't think I've really been able to write music from like a happy place. I've maybe written some songs that sound happy, but I've never wanted to write about being happy. I'm like, well, how is that interesting at all? Like, you know? So
Yeah, when you're happy, it's just like you're just enjoying life. You don't have. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's like for me, there's nothing more vibey than just like being completely alone, like maybe in a car, driving down like a summer road at night, and the moon is just like high in the sky, and it's just like there's like this lone wolf energy that's like I'm by myself, you know, chilling in the moonlight. I don't know what it is, but like weird moments like that, like especially isolation, like that's some of the most like magical. And then that's kind of like when you're dreaming at night too, you're like alone, like asleep alone, like regardless, you know, it's like regardless of if you're in bed with anybody, I mean, you're literally alone in your sleep. Like that's just you there. There's something about being isolated alone that like drives a lot of that like creative energy for me. And some of those, like I always call this, I think the emotion is called saudade, and it's like a Portuguese. It's basically like this nostalgic longing for something in the past, and it's a beautiful and somber moment. It's like, you know, you might walk by a park of a school you used to go to, and the summer breeze hits you, and you're just like, wow, like I remember playing here at recess with my friends, and it's like that was not that long ago, and it's like that feeling mixed with whatever, I don't know, that to me is like that's where the songwriting stuff comes out of. And it's not always like a sad place, it's just like this mystical, like wow, like time, you know, time passing, I think. I don't know how to explain it.
I think I have like terminal sedate or whatever, yeah, however you pronounce it. But yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And I think even when I think back to like high school or like parties, or it's like it's crazy to know you experienced that, but it's gone forever. Like I think that just
Totally.
trips me out. I try to be more aware of that now too. Like when I'm doing something I really enjoy, like when we're on set, I'm like, this is a moment never gonna experience again. Thankfully get to watch it, you know. And I actually think that's maybe the main reason I want to do more film stuff, is because I'm just obsessed with that. Like just being able to relive something that meant a lot to me. Music kind of
Right.
does that in a way, but it's not as like dimensional.
Yeah, with the film, especially Farlight. Yeah, just like I don't know, in college for me personally, like I was a complete loner. I had friends, obviously, like, you know, I've always had friends and I have great friends in my life, but it's, you know, it's always been hard to relate on a super, like, it's always been a little bit hard to relate to most people in my life because it's, you know, we might be friends over something, but there's something different. Like, there's something that seems so different about me than most of my friends. And it's the same for college. And it was just like, any time I was in a social situation, I was like, I'm alone for sure. Like I guess like with us, I probably, you know, felt maybe the most connected. Like I've had one or two people in my life where I'm like, damn, like I think you actually know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
or know how I feel, which is cool. I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is like in college, I was just such a loner. And yeah, it's like I kind of forgot my original point.
That's all right.
Now. I don't know exactly where I was going with this. We had that there was that awkward moment of like, it's you, dude. You're my best. You know?
No, dude, I totally agree actually.
What were we talking about?
Dude, I honestly don't remember either. That's one thing I think we share is like sometimes short-term memory. Put down like our coffee or something and we can't find it for half an hour. Yeah. Every single day.
No, it was about the film stuff. It was about the film stuff. So I was, loner, most of my life, whatever. But when we connect with the films, with the group, we have Josh, Micah, me, you, Baz, other crew helping out. It's like, I feel like I can finally experience that like group moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Where it's like, like I finally get to like collaborate with people that I like. We all have the same, maybe we don't have the same exact goals, but it's like we're doing like a creative thing together. This isn't just me in my room. And it's like, that is so cool for me. That's the point I was trying to get at. I totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, I think that's why I like doing Farlight so much, is it's like, damn, like I finally get to experience this with like a group of people, and we're all doing the same stuff, and we're all working till 6 a.m. And it's like, I'm not just me editing in my studio till 6 a.m. It's like everyone here is with me doing this, and that's kind of sweet. I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
It's like a special thing to look back on too.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. And yeah, I think it's a cool point. Like, it's the first time you really get to feel that. I felt that like a bit like on tour with the guys I would tour with, but it's just different. It's not the same. Like, because 90% of that is just sitting in a van driving, and it's like sucks, I mean, it's fun, 4 a.m, just stopping at gas stations and stuff. But yeah, it's just totally different. That's a big part of why I love it so much and like want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. It's a totally different experience for both of us. Just going. I mean, I think the tour life. That's one thing like I haven't experienced. So I don't know how to relate to it exactly, but it does seem like on set, it's just like 100% go time all the time. I mean, there's like no downtime. Maybe sometimes like if someone's setting something up that you can't really help out with. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's cool. I'm really excited for what we're going to put out. It's our first thing, obviously. And it's not, people are so used to just seeing like Hollywood $100 million budget movies where it's always easy to feel insecure about like creating something that's not going to be maybe to that exact level. But I feel like we did pretty good so far. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to film the rest of it and get it out there.
And I think like we're always thinking ahead too and trying to be like, okay, what could we do better? So I think that's a nice thing. It's like, even if this isn't exactly what we hoped, and amazing how the best it could be, it's like, okay, well, we can make our next one like a step up. And it's cool to have people who are on that same page. Like, that's, I don't know, the biggest thing. It's like, I know we all just we're aware that we're just starting and we want to get better, and we're just like, what's the best way to do that? And I kind of like, we have our episode with Jake, who directed Cup of Cheer, will be coming out next week, and he was talking about that, how it's like harder to work with people who are just like hired or random, and they don't really like, they're just kind of doing their job. Like, I'm so thankful we have what we have now, and I'm sure eventually have people who are hired to do stuff, but just having that core, because I could just imagine Jake as like a director, he was saying, like on his first movie, just being brand new, and you're having to work with all these people who are in that kind of vibe. I would, dude, it'd be so scary. That'd be really hard.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that episode to come out and people to check it out. But I was thinking about that today, actually, like reflecting. I was like, he's talking about being a young kid getting on a film set with money, so he has crew, and he's trying to like, be like, okay, we're making a movie, like let's do it. And I think that's wild. It's just a wild thing. I feel like we're so blessed to have like a skeleton crew that we're all pretty much on the same page. Our sensibilities are super similar. Me and you, especially aesthetically, visually, all those important things that we're really passionate about. And then Josh just being like such a great guy to like, I guess, convey what we both kind of want visually on the technical side of things. And then, yeah, it's just been such a great, so we're blessed to have like a crew that I feel like, Baz was saying this too in the last episode, and just always tells us like, it's, we should be pretty thankful to have it. And I mean, I wouldn't want to, I can't imagine just like running a crew by myself at like 18 or 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to, it's crazy. That's wild to me.
Yeah, dude, especially if you have like someone else's money like funding the project, it'd be like, oh my God.
100%.
But yeah, you guys will
100%.
meet. We're gonna have Josh on for the Christmas special. You guys
Yep.
will be able to meet Josh, who we've talked about in every episode. But yeah, dude.
Micah as well, right?
Yep, Micah as well.
Oh yeah, we didn't say our what's the last movie you watched? Or what's
Oh.
a movie recommendation you just watched?
I've been watching this show called The Madness on Netflix. It's pretty interesting. It's like
What's that about?
basically this guy who like witnesses a murder, but then he starts getting like looked at for it and like framed for it. Oh, actually, no. Last
Dang.
night I watched Juror Number 2, like a new Clint Eastwood film. It was pretty good. It was like I really liked like the legal thrillers, like courtrooms. I don't know, just like always like those movies when they're done well. So that was good. What about you?
That's funny you mentioned that. I've been rewatching Making a Murderer on Netflix, which I just find to be like it's just so well done. But at the same time, I wonder, it's just one of those cases where it's like, it kind of, it's so compelling on its own that like, I get why it's such a good documentary, you know, whatever you believe about it. It's just really like entertaining. It's super entertaining. And for people who like true crime stuff, and, you know, I live in Minnesota, so stories, takes place in Wisconsin. So it's a really cool documentary. People haven't seen it. But movie wise, let's see. I just watched recently. There's one way more mild than you always, but it was Home for the Holidays, and it has Robert Downey Jr. as a young man, which is very interesting. Apparently, he was completely hammered, like on set the whole time.
Oh yeah, I think I read about that.
You can definitely see it.
That's funny.
And then I forget her name. She's a great actress as well, but she voices Mrs. Incredible in The Incredibles. I don't remember her name. She's got one of like the coolest voices ever for a female actress. But yeah, she's like the main character, and then Robert Downey Jr.'s her brother. It's a cozy Thanksgiving Christmas movie. I really
Nice.
like it.
Yeah, I
That's
got to
cool.
start watching some Christmas movies.
Yeah.
I think I watched a new one on Netflix. I think I talked about it on the Jake episode, but I also saw Gladiator 2 the other day. It was pretty
How was
good.
it?
I mean, it was like a fun movie.
I just want to also, like, that reminds me, I absolutely hate seeing a review for a movie before I actually watch it, because there's so many films out there that are so good if you just give them a chance that will have horrible reviews, and by critics, which somehow like holds more weight than like normal people, which makes no sense. Not to like bash too much on critics, but are you the one out there making the film? Like, do you have experience doing it? It's a hilarious thing that we give like authority to like critics on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just like, whoever actually listens to that, like, I love the best things out there has like the worst critic score and the absolute best audience score. Guarantee it's an amazing movie or an amazing like stand up or TV series or whatever it is, because it's people who think they know best, or like it's just like more snobby attitude towards something if there's a big audience reaction. That's not always the case, of course, you know, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of the time, I just don't think you should look at Rotten Tomatoes and be like, oh, it's bad, so I shouldn't watch this. Because I recently watched another movie that was like horrible on Rotten Tomatoes, and I absolutely loved it. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's so subjective too. Like, I mean, who's to say what's a good movie or what's a bad movie? Like, it's so subjective. But I will say, I wasn't a fan of Joker 2. Like, I definitely went into it just being like, whatever this is, I'll watch it. But I don't
Right.
like musicals. I've never been a musical guy. I have a really hard time with it. So, and I knew that going into
think-
it. But
is that a musician thing? Because I, as a musician as well, absolutely hate musicals.
I don't know. I find them
Why,
like
though?
boring. But I did love Sweeney Todd. That was a musical that I loved.
Oh, totally.
Because that's like emo,
I did-
dark shit, I guess. But
Yeah, I like that. And then Les Mis. I mean, I like Les Mis because I saw it in theaters, but the only thing that rubbed me the wrong way, and this is my own ignorance completely, is I didn't even know it was a musical. And that's the worst, when you don't know something's a
yeah,
musical.
dude.
Because I remember seeing Into the Woods, And I just like, as soon as they started singing, I was like, I want to leave.
I know,
I gotta
dude.
leave.
Yeah,
gotta
I
leave
actually,
right now.
I did walk out of a musical. I went to see the new Mean Girls. And I don't think I knew it was a musical. I don't know why I went to see it. I think I liked the original and they shot it like close to where I used to live. But that I literally left. I walked out and I started watching what's that new Emma Stone one? Like the weird one. Like super trippy.
It's Pretty something.
Yeah. What is it called? Pretty. Yeah.
I keep thinking Pretty Little Lies, but
I know,
that's
yeah.
like a song I put out. Petty Things?
Pretty Things. Something like that.
No,
whatever.
everyone else listening to this is gonna be like, oh my god.
I know. Yeah.
And what is it? Is it like petty? Is it pretty or petty?
We need we need our own Jamie here.
Yeah, we need something, some reference.
Yeah, dude, I love going to the theater, man. It's still something I absolutely love. I try to do it as much as I can.
Yeah. I haven't gone in so long and I don't know why. You know, it's just like for me, I think a lot of it is Poor Things.
Poor Things,
Poor
that's
Things.
it. Yes.
Petty, pretty. Well, me and you, I guess this would be a funny time to tell our theater experience.
Yes.
That's part of the reason I don't go to movies.
Yeah, that
recently.
was brutal, man.
The first time we had hung out, like, talking about, you know, Farlight, I guess, like really, or the first time we hung out maybe outside of like a music context is, yeah, we went to, we were at a mall and we were like, let's go to a movie afterwards. So we went to a movie and what was it? Talk to Me?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. And I was so excited for that movie.
Oh, me too. And it was good. It was a good movie.
It was
really well done by two YouTubers, Raka something. Can't remember their names. But anyways, it was like, you know, it's rated R or whatever. So I'm pretty sure you have to like maybe show an ID or something to get in, but I'm not sure. But there's literally just like 30 kids. I mean, under the like ranging from like the age of 9 to like 16 or I don't know. There was like 30 kids and they're just nonstop yelling
and
talking,
running
literally running laps.
Yeah, dude.
In the theater.
Oh man.
And me and Braden are just like, oh my god.
And neither of us said anything because I was thinking
didn't
like,
say anything.
Would this bother you? Like, I'm just gonna pretend I don't care.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, I felt so bad because I was the one who like suggested to like see a movie there. And I'm like, well, this was like a horrible, this is like the worst hangout ever. Because it was like our first time hanging out, like outside of a touring show or whatever. And I was like, yep, no, it's all over. Like, never going to hang out with Braden again. Like, it's not gonna be
so
like, what the
funny.
hell? And it's just like funny because like since then, I mean, I've never experienced something quite that bad. I don't think I probably ever will. There was things being thrown across the room too.
Yeah, it was rough, dude. I was just kind of waiting because sometimes another person will say something if someone's like talking or got their phone out, but no one did. And I was like, oh, just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. It's not like you're going to say something. You got to have someone else say something.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I've never said anything.
I love when there's like that one guy or one lady who's just like, nope, I'm not putting up with this shit. And then they just like, they, you know, like either stand up to the people or like at least tell an employee or something. Because that was like so bad that it just like ruined the entire movie pretty much.
100%, dude.
But I mean, and yeah, there's nothing worse. That's why I just like going to a movie theater so hard. I feel like comedy's hard too. Get a lot of people. Comedies attract a certain type of crowd at movie theaters that I find to not vibe with.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, kind of.
I do, yeah.
And I'm not saying that. I mean, I love comedy movies. I absolutely love them. But you get that group of people who's just like, they just love texting or talking, or they love to laugh at every single thing that isn't necessarily funny. And you're like, okay, like, you know, you're trying your best.
Yeah, Twisters was another rough one. It was a lot. But I don't know, man. To me, it's like, I don't know, like people paid to be sitting here. Like what in your mind is like, oh, I'm just going to whip out my bright cell phone.
Oh,
and
God,
like,
yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, it's weird to me. It's honestly like, wouldn't that just be like a common sense? Like you don't do that, but yeah,
you would think
it's weird. But that's like my biggest thing that bothers me is people talking during movies. I think part of that is because like I can't help but even if someone's whispering at the back of the theater, I hear it. I don't know why, but I'm so hypersensitive of that. So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I hear everyone's conversation in like any room I'm in pretty much, especially if, you know, to a fault, you know, because it's like I'm trying to, I can't like focus sometimes because I'm like hearing everyone's thoughts and like emotions. But yeah, then you get in a movie theater and it's like, you can't, you can't get by me. There's no way.
Yeah, man.
But I somehow was always sit in front of the people that decide to like talk the whole time too. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is good to. I hope movie theaters stay around. Like I hope that experience stays before I get the chance to like, have a home theater that's like really massive. But even with home theaters, you're never gonna get that massive of a screen unless you're like you have this massive warehouse or whatever, or unless you own a movie theater. But which would be a cool thing to do just for fun. But yeah, I don't know. I hope they stay around. I remember going to a couple movies during COVID that were completely empty, like right at the beginning, and that was amazing. Just like no one there. And even in LA too, of all places where there's not going to be an empty movie theater, that's like the best feeling.
Yeah, 100%. I went to see Tenet. I think it might have been during or just after that whole COVID or whatever.
Me too.
But the seats like moved like completely. Like it was like,
oh really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I don't think I knew about it. I was like, whoa, like just sitting there, the seats like moving.
Just got a large drink and popcorn, and you're just absolutely like shuffling all over the place.
Yeah, it was weird. Super weird.
I haven't been to a theater like that. I really want to though. I've been like Mall of America in Minnesota used to have some cool like shifting theater rooms. I haven't been to one in so long. Like, have you ever been to an Omni theater?
Yeah, those are
it's
sick.
like wrapped.
Yeah,
absolutely love those.
What's that one in LA? The Star. What is it? There's like a famous theater there. Starlight or something.
ArcLight.
Yeah, ArcLight. Yeah, I went to.
ArcLights are like a chain, but there's only like there's not that many though.
Okay,
there's not that many.
I went to see what's that? Same dude that did Tenet and Dark Knight.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
Nolan.
It was his movie about like World War II or something.
Oh, Dunkirk.
Yeah, I saw that there. I think isn't that like a wrap screen? Awesome. I feel like it is. Maybe not.
There might be an ArcLight that has one.
Yeah, that was sick though.
There's a lot of cool movie theaters in LA. Like El Capitan. I remember I saw Rogue One, and they literally had stormtroopers come out on stage.
That's sick.
I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's the Egyptian theater, which I really want to go to. Me and you should go next time if we go to LA for like a film thing. Amazing, cool thing. Like why do I have this memory that maybe that was someone else, but and then there's the Chinese theater, the TLC Chinese theater and on Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, there's a lot of cool theaters in LA, but yeah, I think so. When I lived in LA, like primarily lived there, I was going to movies quite a bit. But yeah, just after being back in Minnesota, there's just not that many cool ones. But I don't know. I do think I am excited for when we get to finally see Farlight in theaters, like in a theater, because we're gonna do screenings, and I think it would be amazing, if we did a few, just like maybe Midwest or wherever. Maybe really cool to do that.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I'm nervous about like the sound mix in a theater, like doing all the sound, but there's like, I don't know if you ever used them, but like these plugins that like emulate you being in a theater so you can mix in your headphones and it's actually what it would be like with a certain speaker setup, which is cool.
Like a binaural mixing or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But no, I think that'll be cool for sure.
Yeah, that'll be amazing.
Did you ever go to the Rainbow Room in LA, that restaurant?
Oh, 100%. I love it.
Yeah. Dude.
Rainbow Bar and Grill.
That place is wild. It's like see so many celebrities there all the time.
It's so cool because it's like all this like old rock and roll like memorabilia and stuff in there too. I think when I was there, the first time I ever went there, Joe Satriani, who's kind of like a guitar virtuoso guy, he was like doing a podcast like right there and in the Rainbow Room, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I used to listen to him like growing up and learn guitar from him and some of his students like Steve Vai and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's a cool place. I had a vegan pizza there when I was shooting. I was with Josh in LA. I can't remember. I think it was where I left my heart behind. But we went to the Rainbow Room and I got a vegan pizza and it was just unreal. Um, a lot of good vegan food in LA. I've been vegan obviously for, I guess, haven't said it on the podcast, but yeah, probably about 8 years now. But yeah, a lot of great options in LA. So that's one thing I miss about it. The theaters and the vegan food.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, LA's cool. I haven't been in quite a while, but I always loved when I got to go there for touring. I wonder if you ever lived there while I was playing there.
Yeah, I
Probably.
think I did because I remember you were playing at House of Blues
Yeah.
in Anaheim one year. I think we were messaging about it. You said you always like to hit up Santa Monica Pier,
Yeah.
you and the guys, and just like
Oh,
do
dude.
the wildest shit and just.
We got absolutely hammered there one night and like went into the ocean. It's like so dangerous, but yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my spot.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
cool
yeah.
place. Yeah, House of Blues Anaheim actually is one of my favorite venues ever. Like it's so cool. I remember, yeah, just such a vibe. Have you played at one before?
I haven't played at a House of Blues before. No, I would absolutely love to play at the one in Anaheim though.
They just always like take care of you so well, even if you're a smaller act. Like the food and stuff,
Totally.
just like unreal. Yeah.
One weird thing when I lived in LA full time is because I lived in Santa Monica, which was, I had no money whatsoever. I had no business being in Santa Monica, by the way. Like living in it, I was in a 600 square foot box, like apartment, but I was like a block away from the ocean, and it was like one of the most amazing things. But the thing about being in Santa Monica when you're from LA or you're living in LA is you're so far from everything. Like you're really far from West Hollywood, where you have the Rainbow Room, Whiskey A Go Go, Viper Room. That's like all your music scene stuff. In the Roxy as well. Absolutely love the Roxy. I know you've played there.
Yeah.
Right.
So sick. Such a sick venue.
Yeah. And so it's always hard when I live there. And then even Anaheim is just so far from Santa Monica. That's one thing. So now when I go to LA in the wintertime and, either filming music videos or just like, hanging out, doing work stuff, but it's always like, I'm always staying like, near Hollywood, Hollywood Hills or Beverly Hills or in that West Hollywood area, because then you're kind of central to everything. But yeah, it was weird. Like I feel like living there, I almost feel like I missed out so much on like the music scene. I did play shows, I did do like tons of music stuff, but it was just like, I was just so far from everything. But it was like, yeah, I got to run on the beach every morning for 3 years, like, which is incredible. I mean, not many people can say they've done that, but it's kind of funny when you're running on like an ocean beach with no money.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's not the best experience, because you're like, I should be only here if I'm rich, but I'm here. I'm like, I feel like something is really wrong about me being here.
Yeah, dude. That's so funny. I remember, yeah, it's funny like how I'm sure living there too, like my perspective on LA has changed so much. Like I remember the first time I ever went there was when I was young. I was like maybe 17 or 18. And I flew out there to meet with Fearless Records. And I was like, I made it. Like, I was like, this is
Right.
it, It was so bizarre, dude. Because now I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's a cool spot. But it's just funny how your perspective changes. And I didn't end up signing with them. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure. Did that happen to you, like, when you lived there after a while?
Well, there was definitely moments, I got to go to like Grammy parties and stuff with, I had an internship with a publishing company, so I got to like do a few really cool things with there. I got to sit in some studio sessions, or not really studio sessions, but I got to hang out and see there's a guy named Jason, I forget his full name, but his nickname is Pooh Bear, and he's Justin Bieber's songwriter. And I remember like sitting in his studio and he was just playing demos, and like Justin Bieber had just dropped the song with Ed Sheeran. And he just like played, I forgot what it's called.
Love Yourself?
Yeah, I Don't Care.
Oh, I don't
with
care.
Ed Sheeran. And it just hit like Spotify streaming records that day. And then he's like, oh yeah, you want me to pull up that demo? Like when we were writing that with like Ed and Justin. I'm like, or I think Max Martin might have been, I don't know who all wrote it, but I don't know. if I'm saying too much. I don't think it matters. But yeah, he just like played the demo with his voice on it, Pooh Bear's voice versus Justin's. And it was absolutely amazing hearing like that demo. And I was like, oh, that's insane. Like I'm seeing this I get to like hear the Spotify record breaking song like the next day in the guy's studio who like made the song basically. I was like, wow, that's freaking awesome. So there's definitely moments like that. Yeah, and like being a young kid coming from a place where it's just surrounded by cornfields in the middle of nowhere, you're like, this is fucking awesome. Like I did it. Like I'm here. Like I'm around the people I want to be around. And once the pandemic hit, it became virtually impossible to live there because I wasn't able to work. I didn't even know about like unemployment, which is so stupid. Like I knew about it, but I didn't really apply when I got let go from my job, not because of, because I did a bad job. It was because of like the pandemic stuff. And I was like, oh, I have no money. Like, I don't think I can do it any longer. And it just basically came down to like, okay, well, maybe when this whole thing blows over, I'll come back or whatever. And I did do that, but not full time, not permanently. So there's things I miss about it. But man, when you're back to like a place like Minnesota, where you can live in a very large, open, wonderful space for the same price as a tiny little box in LA, and there's also not like crazy amounts of traffic, crazy amounts of people. There's like a sense of peace where you're like, like I feel like I can create more now. Like I feel like now I can like film music videos in the woods and do all this like amazing stuff, and just like no one's gonna care, But in LA, it's like, yeah, it's hard to like thrive when you're just like when you're just barely surviving.
Yeah, dude.
Financially.
I have to pee so bad, dude. That was like top 3. But anyways, yeah, no, I agree about the, being able to create. That's why I've always liked to live in, like where I grew up in Canada or in Ontario, just smaller town, like even being in bigger cities, like I've done that too. But there's just something about it. Like you can always get to the bigger city. You can always experience that when you need, but I just prefer the quiet in the smaller town, and it is better for creating, I think, in a lot of ways. So
yeah, I think it's good because then you also don't just like the networking thing with LA is always weird too, because you're like, oh, I always have to like try to like get something out of somebody, and hopefully I can meet somebody there who can like do it for me, and like that's how I'm gonna make it, is by networking. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the more people the better, especially in LA. Like of course, like connections can be everything in LA. I mean, it absolutely can be. I've seen people go up on stage with 20 people in the room at like the Peppermint Club, and then next month they've got like the #1 song on earth, basically. It's like, what? Like, how did that happen? And I've seen that a lot, actually, and it's just wild. So yeah, and that's because of connections. It's because of like some of the producers that are behind them, any label pushing, and then organic growth as well, obviously, because it's got to be good art. But yeah, dude, it's that's one thing you don't really get when you're just isolated. And I do think it's to a fault. It's not like, oh, it's better to be out in the middle of the woods making music, never around people. I don't think that's the answer either for someone who's trying to make a career in the entertainment industry. But I do think that modern society has made that more possible.
100%. Yeah, that's part of it. I feel like I've had so many of those moments over my life where I was like, maybe this will be it. Maybe this person will do this or see it. Never happened. I remember one time, I think I was playing in San Diego at the House of Blues.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was on tour with some band. But I remember after the show, this guy came up to me. Like, you could tell he was like a legit dude, like kind of mysterious, like just had that like wealthy essence on him. And he was like,
totally.
I came to see you play. I'm an A&R for Capitol Records. Can you give me your email? So I did. Never heard from him. Like, all right, cool.
Damn.
So funny, dude. I don't know. It's just a random
That's
story.
hilarious.
But just like, yeah.
That Capitol.
Yeah.
Right.
So random.
I mean, but it's a cool moment regardless.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
'Cause I mean, there's a lot of A&Rs that reach out once you get a little bit of buzz, and it's just like, it is cool though, but it's like, you know, would I ever sign to a major label given the opportunity? It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like if something popped off on social media and there was a label interest, usually what happens is once it gets to the point where the label is interested, you're pretty much probably in a great spot independently. So that's like the funny part is it's like, you probably don't want to maybe sign a label depending on your situation, because you can get great connections through being signed, even though they're going to completely like make you broke essentially. Like they're going to give you an advance, but good luck seeing anything after that advance. Not always, but like 99% of the time.
Large amount of the time.
Yeah, large amount of time. So it's like, but even just having like a major label A&R reach out and be like, hey, we have some interest. I mean, you should just like take that and be like, I did it, you know, like I made it, because I could sign to this major label deal, but it doesn't mean you should. But I think it's just cool to like see those moments as like kind of just like a little bit of validation, like, hell yeah, I did that or whatever. But sometimes, you know, there are great opportunities out there too to take. But yeah, even if you don't, like you don't, something doesn't happen with something like that, it's like, oh, that is validating, because it's like, that's at one point when you're like 10 years old or 11 years old, you're like, I want to be signed. And then I make it. Like I'll make it once I get a record label. That's what you think as a musician. I mean, that's probably what once you have a record label, all your friends and family be like, you did it. Well, they don't, you know.
Yeah. When I was younger and like kind of just starting, I was living in this like really small apartment, just recording stuff. And like, I remember like printing out, like I just learned how to use Photoshop, and I made like a one sheet, which is basically just like your photo, your, stream numbers. And I burned a CD and I physically mailed it to Fearless Records, because I was like, that is my goal. I'm going to make it. Like, I just want that. And when I got hit up by them years later, I remember the guy was like, yeah, I got that. And I still have that thing you mailed us on my desk. But then I didn't end up doing it, because I think at that point I was like, well, I could just continue going a bit on my own. And it's like, when the deal was in front of me, I was like weighing it out, and it was hard because I was like young and I had some people kind of helping, but I decided not to do that. But sometimes I think like if I had done that, I probably would have benefited in a lot of other ways, because they know that scene, and it was like the best time for it. I did end up signing with Epitaph a couple years later, but I did like a shorter deal. And I think that's one good thing now with people who want to sign to labels. A lot of times it's like, sometimes just a single or like a couple EPs or like one album. I think that's a smart way to do it, is like try something out, because that's beneficial for you and for them, because they have to like prove themselves to you. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of a good way things have changed a bit. But
yeah, I think doing like a more temporary thing just to try it out with, especially like distributors now. There's a lot of, I've had great distribution things in the past that, just fell apart through just really random, like extremely circumstantial reasons that have like nothing to do with the quality of what was happening. But yeah, I think, the one thing I did have is like I did have a distribution thing with SoundCloud, who had like, actually had like a good conversation with the guy, and it was like pitching to Spotify playlists like in person or at least over Zoom, and then also just much higher chance to get on SoundCloud playlists, and like had a rep and like actually had something similar to a label, but it fell apart through like SoundCloud just went through this insane like slice of layoffs, and I think it was just like that department just kind of fizzled down, got a lot smaller. They kept some of their bigger artists, got rid of some of their like mid-tier, smaller indie artists. But yeah, it's just like, even an experience like that, it's just like, why not try it out? Because it's not like you're locked in. And that's something that, especially for me, someone who does like too many things to do literally every single thing like perfect when it comes to music. It's like, yeah, it would probably be beneficial for someone like me to just at least have something, and never having a manager either, not even having management. I mean, it's tough. It's very tough. It's like, I hate booking shows. I hate all of like the business aspect, like marketing. I do hate it, but I can do it, but when it comes to like legit business with music specifically, I just like don't like dealing with music business people. Like, I don't like dealing with promoters and, just different things where it's like,
Yeah, that's a tough world. Like promoters, especially at like our kind of level, you know, because I think a
Totally.
lot of the bands in our genre kind of at the same ish level. I mean, there's kind of like the two,
Mm-hmm.
200 to 500 cap rooms, and there's like the couple thousand and whatever. But yeah, it's kind of like sketchy, you know. It's like you never know, and everyone's just trying to make
Right.
money. It's like those shows are just a moneymaker, which it obviously, it's a business, but it's hard to navigate, man. It's like so much of it can be like discouraging if you're doing it all yourself, you know. But I think, yeah,
100%.
honestly, I think like in this day and age, like if you can find like a solid booking agent who can just get you paid,
Mhm.
I don't
Right.
even know if you need a label. I think like there's so many, like people doing like distribution deals now instead of like record deals, which I think could be so much more beneficial depending where you're at.
Yeah, man, it's interesting with the music, like thinking about music now that we've took this journey with filmmaking. It's like it used to be where it's just like wake up every day. All I'm thinking about is like either make a song, make some type of content, schedule, maybe I have a show schedule and rehearsing for that. Where it's now it's like there's so many other things to think about and do, which I think is just so much cooler because you're not, it's not all one thing. Really, it's all about storytelling. It's like music, like the music is telling a story, film is telling a story, and you get to do everything. And I think that's just what's so cool. And yeah, we talked about in our recent interview with Jake, but like sometimes like some of the, what he said, some of the better people to work with in film is like musicians, terms filmmakers. And I think it's just because you just have that at like ability to tell a story and like being able to do that in all different ways is just really cool. But
Yeah, 100%, dude. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to is just storytellers. Because I mean, Baz is a storyteller, writes his own movies, directs, acts. It's like, and same with Jake, I think like that he's talked to me a lot just about like if he could make the music, he would. Like he loves that. But I think it's like so many of us, we just want to be doing that in the max capacity, like telling stories. Music is definitely probably the easiest path to do that. But I think like, yeah, I mean, clearly for both of us, it's never like what if we could do the film, like, cause that encompasses every aspect of it, you know? But yeah, it's kind of like what you're saying with acting and stuff. It just kind of serves the purpose of the story. And that's how I see it. Just like every piece of it, the score, the sound, the shots, the acting, it's all just part of the telling the story, which I don't know why we're so obsessed with doing that, but just
right.
cool. I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, it's a great, this will be the fourth podcast.
Yeah.
Number fourth podcast. Yeah. Yeah. It was an awesome time. It's just fun to talk about random stuff. Hopefully people enjoy just random ramblings about UFOs and all the way back to music, movies, all that stuff. But
For sure. I didn't really feel like doing it today, but I'm glad we did because I feel a lot better now. So yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Sweet. Well, yeah. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We have an interview with Jake Horowitz coming out next week, and we'll be doing a Christmas special here soon. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and have a great day.